Haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kufches Amud Aleph, 16 lines from the top, almost parallel to the words of the Rashbam. The Gemara now, after it discusses the Reish of the Mishnah, that the Mishnah states, Erev Psachim, Samuch la minchol lo yoichal adam asher techshach. The Mishnah goes on to the next part. Va'afilu ani shebi Yisrael lo yoichal ad sheyesev. The Gemara now discusses the inyan of hasebra, the requirement to recline on one's left side. He should lean on something, not leaning on the air. And by leaning on the left side, that's derech melochim, that's derech cherus, and therefore we're demonstrating that we're bnei chorin on Leil HaSeder. Says the Gemara, Itmar, we have the following statement, matzah, tzorich haseba. When one eats matzah, he must do so reclining. Moror ein tzorich haseba. When one eats more or not, matzah is already going to be expressing our cherus. And therefore, we lean when we eat the matzah. More, on the other hand, is zeicher for the merirus, for the embitterment of the shibud mitzrayim. Therefore, we do not lean. Yayin, itmar mishmei derav Nachman tzorich hasebo, v'itmar mishmei derav Nachman ein tzorich hasebo. We have two contradictory statements in the name of Nachman. One states that we do make haseba by yayin when we drink the wine, while the other statement in the name of Nachman says we do not recline while drinking the wine. V'loi pligi, the Gemara says not a contradiction, not an argument, because ha betarti kasi kamoi, ha betarti kasi besroi, because each statement is talking about different of the two cups. So there's 4 cups, of course, on Leil HaSeder. One statement is referring to 2 cups, and the other referring to the other 2 cups. Amrei lo lahai gisa, amrei lahai li gisa. There are those that explain it in this way, and the others explain it in a different way. Amrei lo lahai gisa, trei kasi kamoi boy hasebo. The first 2 cups of the Dalit Kosos require leaning, reclining. The hashto hu deko maschala lo cherus, because this is the time that we're beginning the cherus. Trei kasoi basoi lo boy hasebo my dahava hava. Whereas the latter 2 cups, since it's already after Sipor Siyas Mitzrayim, so then my dahava hava, it's not necessary to then lean. V'amrei lo lahai gisa, and others say the exact opposite in the other way. Adirabo, trei kosi basroi boy hasebo. The latter 2 cups require leaning, because ahi shaitze de kahavia cherus. It's the latter 2 cups that we became then bnei chorin. We left Mitzrayim. Trei kosi kamoi loy boy hasebo. Da'akati avodim hayinu ka'omar. Whereas the first 2 cups we're still saying we were enslaved. We're slaves in Mitzrayim, and therefore it doesn't require haseba. The Gemara points out, how is it that we recline? In which way? Haseba yemin lo yishmei haseba. It must be that we lean and recline on the left, because if you lean on the right, it's not going to be nechshav haseba. For a practical reason, is that when a person generally is right-handed and he's leaning on his left side, then he'll have the ability to feed himself with his right hand. But we'll soon see that even a left-handed person is only yoitze ayidei, leaning on the left side as well. Says the Gemara, V'loi oid ela shema yakdim kono laveshet v'yavaledi sakana. Here, the Gemara points out there's a danger if a person leans on his right side. By leaning on his right side, it will cause perhaps the kona to be makdim to the veshet. That means that the windpipe will precede the esophagus. Not only there's a space, then to be a flap that normally is closed. If you lean on the right side, it will cause it to be opened, whereby the food will go down the wrong pipe, causing a person to choke. And therefore, even a left-handed person cannot lean on the right side. The Gemara says, Isha eitzel baila loy boy haseba. A woman, by her husband, does not require haseba. And that is because, since a woman is, call it, subservient to her husband, she's mishamish her husband, therefore she doesn't require haseba. V'im isha chashuvahi tzrich haseba. But he's a woman who's a prominent woman in the sense that she's like a malka, and therefore she's not mishamish her husband, so therefore she would require haseba. Ben Eitzel Aviv Boy Hasebo. A child who's having the Seder with his father, he requires Hasebo. Since there's a relationship of Ahava between him and his father, therefore, he requires Hasebo in front of his father. Iboilehu, the Gemara asks, Talmid Eitzel Rabbi Mai. If you have a student who's eating the Seder next to his, in the same Seder as his Rabbi, something that he has learned Torah from, what is the din? The Gemara says, Toshma. Omar Abaye said, Ki havinam be'ma'ar zagin na'birchei dahadodi. When we learned in the Beis HaMedrash of Rabbah, in his yeshiva, we leaned on the knees of our fellow man, on each other, in order to then mekayim the mitzvah haseba. Ki asin lebei Rav Yosef. When we came and we learned in the yeshiva of Rav Yosef, which was actually the same yeshiva, Rav Yosef became the Rosh Yeshiva subsequently. Omar Lon, he said to us, Lo tzrichisu, you don't need to then lean, because Moreh Rabboch Kimoreh Shamayim. He invoked the pasuk in Ovo, the Mishnah in Ovo, that says, your Moreh of your Rebbe should be like the Moreh Shamayim. And since there's a relationship of Moreh, of fear, therefore is not required the Talmid to lean in front of his Rebbe in the Seder. Meisvei asked the Gemara on this last statement that one does not lean in front of his Rebbe. Meisvei, it says, Im hakol adam meisav. Va'afilu talmi eitzel rabbi. Here you have an inclusion that indeed even a student reclines in the presence of his Rebbe. Answers the Gemara, Kitani hahi b'shulya denagri. This Bryce is talking about when somebody was an apprentice by a carpenter. That's the type of person who still also will lean. But a student of Torah in the presence of his Rebbe does not lean. Iboilohu. They asked the following question, Shamish Mai. What about a Shamish? After all, he's Mishamish, the people that he's eating with, the people that he's serving, and therefore maybe that will preclude him from the chiyuv of Haseba. Says the Gemara, Toshma, let's bring the following proof. The Omar Rabbi Shimon ben Levi. Hashamish sho'ochal kezayis matzo kishehu meisav yotza. When a Shamish eats a kezayis of matzah, he's yoisei when he reclines. Meisav in, lo meisav loy. The diuk, of course, is that only when he leans, when he reclines, is he yoisei the mitzvah of matzah when he ate it. But if he did not recline, you can medayik clearly from here that he's not yotzei. Shma mina boy hasebo shma mina. Indeed, we can conclude that the shamish, although it's true he being mishamish the people at the seuda, but since it's not intrinsic like it is by the isha, he's merely coming to serve them as a servant. Therefore, he is yes chayiv to make haseba.